Ashe! Greetings. A grand rising, a grand and very beautiful day to you all once again, my fellow natural native earthly humans. And welcome to this part 10 of my series of talks titled Another Perspective, Analysis and Interpretation of the very famous prose poem called Desiderata by the late Max Ehrmann. Yes, there's so much to say about this thing here, man. Now you don't know that it is yours truly, I, the Mystic the Mystic Philosopher, along with my companion. Yes, this of course my old bass guitar and my chirping birds, my recorded chirping bird sounds. Right here chirping and echoing the melodious, natural healing, comforting, and therapeutic sounds in the background, in the foreground, and all around. Yours truly, I, the Mystic P. Now, just to remind you, as is my custom, that if you haven't yet watched or listened to part 1 to part 9 of this series of talks, I will suggest that you please do so before you continue to watch this part 10, or that you do so as soon as you finish watching this part 10. To me, it's like reading a book. You will get more understanding, a better understanding, and understanding of what the author of that book is trying to say. Same thing apply here, is trying to convey. You get a better understanding of his or her thought process. At least that's my perspective. Now, in the previous episode, namely part 9, I answered the question, who am I? Again, please watch the part 9. So here in part 10, I will answer and share my perspectives on what I am. You will also remember me telling you that from my perspective, the thing that most people fear the most is thinking. To think. People are afraid of that. If you doubt me, just put a math problem before most people and see. They will prefer do the most menial job instead of applying their ability to think or exercise their mental their faculties to think. And at the end of part 9, the previous episode, I also I neglected to, I forget to do that. I should have asked you to think, meditate, and contemplate on the word I. Yes, the word I, the I. Now that I will now ask you to do for the rest of this talk, and possibly throughout the rest of this series. I ask you to contemplate, meditate, and think about and on the word I. Now, what I am, or to some of you, who are you? What I am. Now, you will remember that in the previous episode, part 9, to be exact, I told you some of what the I is not. Or to some of you, I told you what I am not. And I told you that the I change not. That I change not. Meaning, the I can't change. I can't change. Meditate on I. Meaning, the I can change and or the I can change and become or become not the I. I can't change and become not I. However, it is the will of the I that may change. It is the will of the I that will change. It is the will of the I that can change. And it is the will of the I, and it is the will of I that can change. And it is the will of the I that do change and make things happen. It is the will of the I that do change and make things happen. It is the will of I that do change and make things happen. It is the I that is done. It is the I will that is done and being done. It is I will that is done and being done. And it is the I will that will make things happen and does make things happen. Again, I ask that you meditate on I, the I. Rastafari said I and I, but meditate on I. Therefore, when the I say I am, listen carefully now. When the I say I am, it is the will of the I that is being instructed to act, or it is the will of the I that is instructed to take action. The I is communicating with the I will. I am communicating. I with I will. And thus, the very often quoted, and from my perspective, misinterpreted and misunderstood statement, but a very profound one, I must say. I am what I am that I am, and I will be what I will be. But that too, I will have much more to say on that at another time. Now, with all that said, for now, and at this period in time, on this plane, on this side of reality, I am the Mystic Philosopher, aka Dr. David G. Jones, PhD. I am an inspirational speaker. I am a metaphysician, a spiritual counselor, philosopher, free thinker, truth seeker, musician, poet, singer, songwriter, internet blogger, YouTuber, a happiness coach, and much more. And in my becoming, I am becoming more and more and much, much more. Now, four of my favorite quotes that truly summed up some of my basic life's philosophies are as follows. Number one, I think, therefore I am, unquote. That is from the 17th century French philosopher René Descartes. Now, this I interpret to mean that I know I am because I am thinking. For without thinking, ask yourself, without thinking, what do I know? And without thinking, what do you, my listeners and watchers and critics, know? And without thinking, how do you know if you know or that you don't know? Think on these things. My second favorite quote is, and I quote, the unexamined life is not worth living, unquote. That's the ancient Greek philosopher named Socrates, and it is a dictum recorded in Plato's Apology. Now, my interpretation of this statement is that if we are not examining our lives, example, if we are not asking questions, tough questions, I might add, and seeking answers about ourselves and about people, things, and events that are in our lives and are affecting our lives, then our lives are worthless. We might just be occupying space and time on this planet. And quite possible, we might be better off physically dead. And again, why? Because the unexamined life is not worth living. Number 3, my third quote, favorite quote is, seek and keep the company of those who seek the truth, but run away from those who have found it, unquote. Václav Havel, the former president of the Czech Republic. Now, in other words, I always try my very best, and as much as it may be humanly possible, to avoid people who are claiming to have found the truth, to avoid people who are claiming to have the truth, to avoid people who are claiming to know the truth. You name it, or you name them. And especially all those that are wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in the systems, Jesus and the systems, religions and religions and politics and the systems, belief systems or systems. And my fourth favorite quote is, speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant, they too have their story. And that is, of course, unquote, that is, of course, from Max Ehrmann, the Desiderata, which I will have a lot more to say on this later as I continue to dissect and analyze and give my perspective on Desiderata. Now, one of my favorite songs that I think will sum up all that I have said so far is called How Small We Are, How Little We Know by Robert Goulet. And I would like to sing it for you, but so as not to get into any copyright issues and get another strike from YouTube, I will quote or recite the words for you. And I quote, we laugh, we cry, we live, we die. And when we are gone, the world goes on. We love, we hate, we learn too late how small we are and how little we know. We hear, we touch, we talk too much of things we had no knowledge of. We see, we feel, yet can't conceal how small we are, how little we know. See how the time goes swiftly by. We don't know how, we don't know why. We reach so high and fall so low. The more we learn, the less we know. Too small, the time to go will come. Too late, the will to try on, to carry on. And so we leave too much undone. How small we are, how little we know. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die. And when we are gone, the world moves on. We love, we hate, we learn too late how small we are, how little we know, unquote. Now this will be the end of part 10. So please stay tuned and join me in part 11, in which I will continue to explain and answer the questions. What is meant by the words mystic, occult, metaphysics, metaphysician, philosophy, philosopher, and the mystic philosopher. So please join me again tomorrow, and then again if I'm gifted with another day, and one in which I continue to experience in full joy, good health, freedom, safety, and good relationships with people like you, all my listeners and well-wishers. When and where I will continue to share with you some of my perspectives, some more of my perspectives and analysis and interpretation of Desiderata, aka another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata by yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. In the meantime and between time, I ask that you continue to think and meditate some more, this time on the word I. And lively up yourself, full joy, be more and more and much, much more, and definitely don't be less, aka blessed, for I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.